Here are 5 tips in Pokemon Unite to help you rank up whether you're in beginner or you're in masters. To start us off, we have tip number 1, which is going to be resource management, something that's kind of underlooked. And of course, when you think of resource management, you think of your full heals and your eject buttons, but we're also going to be looking at focus band and other items like that. To quickly go over some of the key points here, let's look at this clip. We just got done with a little fight, a little altercation just at the beginning of the game, fighting for the little Bunnelbees. As we go back to our base to heal up, we grind a little bit more on the Bunnelbee that spawns before the 850 bees. As you can see here, we get hit and our focus band props early, which is really bad for us. One thing with resource management you have to understand is, how do my items work and why do I have this focus band on? It's to keep us alive and heal us mid-battle. If it props to a Bunnelbee, when we could have just taken a berry and healed in our zone, well, now we don't have it for the actual fight for the 850 Altarias, and this goes for the entire game. You're going to want your focus band to prop at your Rayquaza fight and every other objective in the game. You don't want to waste it on some little skirmish in the enemy team goal zone or off a random Altaria just in the middle of the map. The same thing applies to full heals and eject buttons. You have to know why you have those items and when to use them. For example, if you're a Duraludon or Chandelier, you want to use your full heal and make sure it's up at the same time that your Unite move is up. Of course, you could use it in team fights, but make sure you're using it around the time you have your Unite move so it doesn't get cancelled. Because remember, a Unite move could be the difference between winning a team fight and losing a team fight. Same thing goes with eject button. If you are using eject button and you have a character like Cramorant or someone who could reposition their Unite move in the middle of it, I would consider using it next to a wall. So when Pokemon come after you, you can eject button to the other side, and what are they going to do to you? Absolutely nothing, unless they have a dash. But if they have a dash, of course, they're going to have to use it to get to you, and now they're just separated from their team, and you should be able to beat them with their Unite move. Unless it's like an Orishifu and Comfey, which you're not beating them anyways, let's be fair. But that will take us to tip number 2, where basically it's pretty simple. Don't get KO'd, especially in the early game. You have the early game, and if you get KO'd a lot, you're just feeding the other team and their jungler, center, whatever you want to call it. And while these early game KOs may not seem like much, the other team getting their evolutions in their level 5, level 6, whatever they have moves first, could be detrimental to the rest of your game. This could also mean that the other team gets their Unite moves first, or you could lose a goal zone, which will completely hinder you for whatever objective you decide to go to. The only real time you should be pushing past the center of your map is when your jungler's with you, or you have a guaranteed KO. This tip right here is kinda loaded, but stick with me. We have tip number 3. It's pretty easy in premise, it's pay attention. While this could be hard sometimes, I understand. I have a real bad habit of just zoning out and just clicking buttons, chasing people down, doing whatever I do, just hanging out. But you're always going to want to pay attention to when things spawn, when your XP's up, how you get to your levels, whether it's evolutions or when you get your moves. You want to be able to grind to get those before any big team fights. You're going to want to know when the objective spawns. I'm pretty sure we all know when objectives spawn by now. It's around the 7-minute mark, or exactly at the 7-minute mark. Also, in terms of paying attention, that also means your Unite move. Pay attention to when you get your Unite move and how to use it. Use it for big team fights. Don't be afraid to use your Unite move. You want to get as much value out of it as possible. But don't be afraid to use your Unite move, especially if you're a Pokemon like Pikachu or Talon that get their Unite move like every 20 seconds, really. But of course, if you're coming up close to an objective spawning, or especially the Rayquaza fight, do not use your Unite move. A good rule of thumb is the last time you should be using your Unite move before the Rayquaza fight is the 3-minute and 30 seconds mark. Be sure to always pay attention to that clock and where you are on the map, and you'll be fine. Because trust me, having bad positioning is an easy way to lose your games in Pokemon Unite. Also, I forgot to add, while the Regis may be better in most situations, just go to whatever objective the majority of your team are showing up to. If 3 of your team went up to Religiki, just go to Religiki. You're not going to win Regice by yourself anyways. Speaking of positioning, we have tip number 4. Do not push. Yeah, that's about it. Just pushing is one of the worst things you could do in the game. Of course, if you have 5 of your teammates, you could push goal zones and whatever, you win the fight. It works, But don't push into 1v2s, 1v3s inside of the enemy goal zone. It will never work. You're not going to beat the Orishifu Comfey inside their goal zone as anyone at all, really. Especially not your like level 2 Lucario or whoever you're playing. Don't push goal zones. And especially, do not push at Rayquaza. Do not backcap. Don't backcap. Bad play. Don't do it. Please. Please. You're losing your games. You're leaving your team in a 4v5. They lose. You score your 100 points. Good for you. The other team just scored 500 points now. It's bad math. negative 400 if you couldn't do it. So don't score 100 points. That goes to tip number 5, which, come on, it's Rayquaza. Show up to Rayquaza. And this is one thing I kind of want to talk about here is group up early to Rayquaza. I see so many people just like, they're grinding up at the top. It's 2 minutes, it's 150, it's 140, and then they'll come down. They're like, oh, I need to get this next level, or this, or that, or this. I need the buffs. It's like, no, just show up. Just show up. And what I would recommend is show up to Rayquaza 20 seconds early. Maybe 30 seconds early. Just get there. And I know people will be like, but you're leaving your goal zones unguarded. They're going to score like 50 points, 100 points maybe if they wait until the very last second. The thing is, if you bait them out and they go into your goal zone because it's unguarded right before Rayquaza and you're all grouped up as a 5-man, you could just collapse on them in the goal zone and KO them. Okay, they score a few points. You're about to get Rayquaza because of that. That's the biggest thing. As long as you group up, you will win a majority of your games. I can assure you, you will at the very minimum be above 50% win rate if you just group up early. Because like I said, if they do try to score, you get a free KO. Now it's a 5v4 on the other end. If their whole team pushes your goal zone to try to score a bit, well, guess what? You could either flip Rayquaza while they're doing that for some reason, and you'll definitely KO it before they get back, or you could collapse on them and KO all 5 of their team because they're pushing your goal zone, which you have heals and shields on, and they don't. So it seems like a pretty easy choice. Group up to Rayquaza way early, and you'll win your games. Now, those are just 5 tips I have off the top of my head. If you guys want to see more, let me know down below, and I could definitely come up with 5 more, 3 more, whatever you guys want. And for one last bonus tip, if you are playing Pokemon Unite, and you are playing this little blue duck guy right here, do not go Surf Hurricane like I do. That's not a good idea. He's decent with Dive Air Slash, but Espeon has a move that's literally Surf Hurricane combined with half the cooldown. So he's kind of pointless. Or pick up like Mew or a better special attacker. Now that's all, guys. See you guys all next time, and bubble out. That's actually a good pop for once.